Alright, it's like 4 actual days until Shadowbringers comes out. Don't lie to me, official countdown. No, we're not going with your official release date of July the 2nd. As much as the countdown art is amazing, I will not dispute that. We're actually going to talk about the release of June the 28th, which is pretty much where everybody in the universe will be playing. It's currently June the 24th, so you don't need to work at the Garland Ironworks to figure this out. Or at least I would hope not. So the purpose of this video. So you're late to the preparation party. What you need to do and what you want to do are completely dependent on you when it comes to preparing for an expansion, but here's some bits to keep in mind. This then is my lucky 7 things to keep in mind when preparing for the epicness that is Shadowbringers, and it's 7 because I wanted to use the number 7, not specifically there's only 7. So for the first point, if you're planning to blast out those sweet levels on your gathering classes and make that sick guild, the most intelligent thing you can do is to pick up 16 leave quests in Kagane for either one or a mix of your gathering classes, so Botany and Miner or Fisher, or a mix between them. You're going to want to do this before midnight on this coming Tuesday. That way you can recharge all of your levy allowances all the way back up to 100 before Shadowbringers early access. It should return all 16 by that time, because as we all know, levies give us madness experience, and you really want to make the most out of that. Even if you don't plan to do them right away, if you want to focus on your gathering and make big gil on the side, especially when we have another Rabarn Extreme, you can go and do this, then this is your first plan of action. If you're planning to embrace your inner Orictologus Cuniculus or your Silverlagus Floridanus, which is just bun to you and me, and want to get the ears of that character of yours resized and fantasiaed as fast as possible, remember that you'll need to strip off first, and then use your Fantasia and log out before the 28th. Do this before you log that character out, just before the servers go down or anywhere before then. That way, when you log into the game on June 28th, you can just Fantasia your character from the main menu to its Leporidae equivalent with no fuss and stress needed in a time when the servers will be playing ping pong with a disgruntled Marlboro. For my third point, if you're switching things up a little this time around and want the sweet nectar that is Gunbreaker or Flail Around as your new dancer, as your new plaything, then there's a couple of things you need to remember. Gunbreaker will actually start over in Gridania and Dancer starts in Limsa somewhere. Those details haven't been released yet. These jobs will start at level 60 and you'll need to level them up all the way to 70 before you can get into Shadowbringers content, and it has been confirmed that no job boosts will be available for these new jobs at this time. So Heaven on High might be your first and best choice, but that has a level 61 requirement amongst the requirement of actually completing Palace of the Dead up until floor 50 and completing that questline, which if you're a new player you might not have done already, so you might want to go and do that. However, if this is the case and you can't be bothered with Deep Dungeon, then your best bet is to aim for the highest level dungeon that you can currently queue for in your duty finder and keep doing it that way, along with making sure to complete your daily roulettes, including your MSQ roulette, your Alliance raids and trials, and pretty much leveling if you can bear it. Remember that if you are going to do some Heaven on High, get yourself a nice high ether pool amount so that it's less painful in there and doesn't take the entire early access period just to level it. You want that to be a smooth experience if you do want to do it that way. Okay, here's a biggie. Make sure that you did the latest MSQ quest. Yeah, I know, it's dumb to mention, but then if the world was filled with the most up-to-date savvy people, then there'd be no use for guide creation and I'd lose my ability to make videos, so let's just chill for a second. You can track your MSQ progress on this MSQ tracker thing that appears in the top left of your screen. If you turn this off like everyone else did, then you can follow the on-screen instructions here and turn it back on. This will actually help you and you won't have to trawl through thousands of forum or Wikipedia pages just to find where you left off. Make sure that you did everything on this and then it will say to be continued. This is where you will need to be. So number 5, gear. Well, in general, the majority of any new gear that you will need for your combat roles should be available from a vendor. I'd estimate 360 average item level will probably be the eye level you'd want to go into the next content with. There should be 385-ish item level stuff available from the first set of vendors in Shadowbringers, probably in Lakeland, but in general it's a good idea to get whatever item level you can before going into this expansion. Conversely, you could do well to buy yourself some gear for your Gunbreaker or Dancer for the level 60 range with Poetics from Idleshire, and if you have any Genesis or Mendacity, spend it on level 70 gear for those classes as well, to minimise the stress when you actually get those to 70 and can't enter some of the new content. Remember, after the expansion comes out, everything will be available from the vendors in Ralga's Reach for Poetics instead, so just try to plan ahead and determine what would be the best use of your currency right now. Number 6, your challenge log. So with the recent confirmation that the Fate challenge log entries, both of them will not be here in 5.0, they're getting completely redesigned, you can actually ignore both of those, they're completely useless for you. However, the challenge log has a ton of experience just waiting to be lapped up like a kitty with a saucer of milk. If you nearly complete everything, as in get close to completion, which means after Tuesday's reset you can do 2 unsynced dungeons, 2 roulette dungeons or alliance raids, do 9 guild hests in total, do 5 of one leave quest, 5 of a second, 5 of a third and 4 of a fourth levy quest. Then on the early access day you just do 1 alliance raid or dungeon roulette, 1 guild hest and 1 new levy quest. You'll get an absolute ton of experience that will give you a massive advantage on day 1 in the first hour or so of play, depending on how quickly you can get through your roulette. And finally, number 7, Crystal Tower. I cannot stress this enough, but it may very well likely be a thing that you will need to have completed the Crystal Tower saga of storyline and indeed the raids themselves to their completion to be able to actually start the Shadowbringers storyline, but considering it all revolves around the Crystal Tower itself. They made this easier though in a recent-ish patch. The prerequisite quest for Crystal Tower's raids in Revenant's Toll is now super simple and doesn't actually require fates anymore, so it's just a case of following the quest, going back and forth a bit, killing some monsters and then doing the raids themselves. The storyline is actually quite good as well and will probably lead some of the major points talked about into the main storyline of this new expansion, so try not to skip this unless you really don't have the time. And there you have it, my lucky 7 things to get you prepared for Shadowbringers if you so desire. There's a ton more that could be mentioned, but honestly when it comes down to it, this is what I myself have employed for my own characters, and honestly you don't want to be too overly prepared, otherwise the whole thing might just seem like a chore, which it really shouldn't be. This will be Christmas Day in June. Enjoy it, relish it, as it only happens every 2 years. Enjoy yourselves out there and get hyped, and I'll see you all next time.